All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into what it's actually like to work at the University of Toronto. We're going to uncover the vibe, the opportunities. Is U of T the right fit for you? That's what we're trying to figure out today. And of course, all this information is brought to you by academicjobs.com to help you make those decisions about your higher education career.
Wonderful.
So we're going beyond just like, the basic facts, right?
Yeah.
We're going deep, deep down, and we've got some really juicy details from sources like Glassdoor, U of T itself. So yeah, buckle up.
Awesome. I'm excited. Let's dive in.
Speaking of diving in, Jared Kinnize, who's the CEO of academicjobs.com, said something really interesting. He said, U of T is one of the most impressive universities I have visited. Soaked in academic history and tradition, the modern cohort at U of T proudly carry on the legacy of remarkable teaching, research, and community impact.
Wow.
So let's see if that backs up, what the data reveals.
Yeah.
We'll start with the money. Always a good place to start.
Oh.
The salary range at U of T is pretty big.
Yeah.
Like from a teaching assistant at $45,284 all the way up to assistant professor at $152,834.
It's a big range.
What does that tell us about the different career paths? Or is it just about like seniority?
Yeah, it's definitely a combination, right? I mean, U of T is massive. There's all sorts of roles, teaching, research, you name it. So that range probably reflects that complexity. But it's interesting, right? Because it means there's room to grow in a certain path.
So like you could start as a TA and move all the way up.
Exactly. But we'll have to see if U of T actually supports that kind of movement when we look at the professional development stuff.
Let's not forget about the benefits, though.
Right, beyond the paycheck.
Exactly. Medical, dental, vision, those are the usual suspects. But U of T also offers this thing called an Employee and Family Assistance Program, EFP.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of interesting. What does that tell us about U of T?
Well, I mean, free counseling, support services, that shows they care about well-being, which is huge for work-life balance, especially in academia.
Yeah, you're right. Especially with all the demands and pressure.
Yeah.
And U of T, they talk a big game about their family-friendly programs.
Yeah, they do.
Are they actually walking the walk?
Well, they have generous parental leave and multiple on-site daycare options. I mean, that's pretty concrete.
Wow, multiple on-site daycare options.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So they're thinking about families.
Practical needs, yeah.
That's great. How do these benefits compare to other universities? Are they, at the top?
It's hard to say for sure without a direct comparison, but they seem pretty competitive. It's clear they get the benefits matter, right?
Right. Beyond just the basic package.
It's about the whole environment.
Okay, so benefits, family stuff. That's good. But what about career growth? Is there a path for advancement? Or is it more like you get in and stay put?
Well, they do talk about succession planning. Suggests they're thinking long-term.
So not just a job, but a career.
Right. But do they actually do it? We'll need to look into those professional development programs to see.
Yeah, it's important. Any concrete examples of people actually moving up the ranks?
Absolutely. Stories always speak louder than just, vague promises, right?
Totally. Okay, so we've touched on the financials. We've talked about benefits.
Yeah.
But what about the actual work environment?
Yeah.
The vibe, the culture at U of T?
Okay.
What's it like?
Well, on Glassdoor, 86% of employees would recommend working at U of T to a friend.
That's pretty high. 86%. That's really good. What's contributing to that? What do you think?
It's got to be a lot of things combined. But U of T, they talk about an inclusive culture. They seem to be really pushing for equity and inclusion. So creating that sense of belonging, right?
That's huge. Feeling like you belong. It makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And it ties into that community feeling Jared mentioned. But also, let's not forget about the unique perks. Free learning for staff and their kids.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
That's pretty incredible.
It's like built-in tuition.
It really aligns with their mission, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And they offer alternative work arrangements, too. Big plus these days.
Yeah, for sure. Flexibility is key. Okay, so great benefits, commitment to inclusion. They even have cool perks. But how about those awards?
The awards?
Yeah, like Canada's Greenest Employers, Diversity Employers, Greater Toronto's Top Employers 2024.
Yeah.
Are those just for show? Or do they actually mean something about U of T's values?
That's the question. Awards are nice, but they don't always tell the whole story.
Right. We need to look beyond the shiny trophies.
Yeah, do those values actually translate into actions, into policies?
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk. How do we figure that out?
We need to dig deeper. What specific things are they doing to be green? How are they fostering diversity beyond just hiring?
So are those awards genuine, or are they just, PR?
Exactly. It's about the impact, not just the image.
We want to know what it's really like to work there, beyond the awards, beyond the marketing.
Yeah, does it actually match up with what you're looking for?
Exactly. So we've got a lot to unpack here. We've looked at financials, benefits, the work environment. What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's a promising start. But we need to dig deeper, right? Professional development, that pension plan, and what's really behind those awards.
We need to see the substance. All right, let's dive into those key areas.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're back and ready to really dig into some of the questions we still have. We were talking about the general work environment at U of T. But what about the actual career advancement opportunities there? Like, can you actually build a long-term career at U of T? Or is it more like a stepping stone? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, they mentioned succession planning, but what does that actually look like on the ground? Do they have formal programs for, professional development? Do they do mentorship, tuition assistance for employees who want to learn more and get more education? What's going on there?
Yeah, those are all great questions. And are there any, I don't know, success stories, people who started in entry-level jobs and then climbed the ladder at U of T?
Yeah, right. That's definitely something you could research. Look for employee testimonials or case studies, where they talk about growing within U of T. That would be really helpful.
Definitely. And speaking of long-term prospects, you mentioned the pension plan before.
Oh, right.
You said that it exists, but it's different for different roles.
Yeah, it's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure pension plan. Depends on what you want to do at U of T. So yeah, you definitely want to look into the specifics, especially if you're thinking long-term, financial security and all that.
Yeah. It's not always the most fun to talk about, but it's really important to understand, especially when you're comparing different job offers and stuff.
For sure. And speaking of comparisons, we were talking about that salary range before.
Yeah.
But how does U of T stack up to other big universities in Canada, salary-wise, I mean?
Yeah, are they known for paying well, or do they kind of fall behind?
Yeah.
Because that's a big factor, right?
Yeah, for sure. You can find, salary surveys and stuff online, but honestly, it's really good to talk to people who actually work at other universities in similar roles. Get that inside scoop,
It's always good to network.
Absolutely. Because those numbers on a website are one thing, but hearing, real people's experiences, that's way more valuable.
Yeah. And remember, compensation is more than just the number on your paycheck.
Right.
It's the whole package. Benefits, vacation time, those professional development opportunities, the pension, it's all part of it.
Exactly. It's about finding that right balance, right? Maybe you're cool with the slightly lower salary if the benefits are amazing, or there's a lot of room for growth.
Totally. It comes down to what's important to you, right?
Yeah, your priorities, your needs, what you're looking for in a job.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about the financials, the benefits, those career advancement things. But let's circle back to those awards for a second. The ones U of T keeps winning. How much should we really care about those?
I mean, they can be a good sign, It shows that they're, committed to certain values. But an award doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a good experience working there.
Right.
Those awards, they're based on, specific criteria, and they might not capture the day-to-day stuff. You know what I mean?
So how do we get a real sense of the work culture beyond the awards,
Talking to people is key. People who actually work there. Use your network, go to events, connect with folks on LinkedIn, that kind of thing.
Oh, and what about those Glassdoor reviews? Aren't those helpful?
Oh, totally. Just, take them with a grain of salt.
Of course.
But they can give you a peek into what it's really like from people who've actually been there.
Right.
So, look for patterns, right?
Yeah.
What are people always praising? What are they complaining about?
Yeah, we're trying to get the full picture.
Exactly. The real deal.
Beyond just the marketing and the awards.
We want to know if U of T actually fits with, your values, your goals.
And that brings us back to academicjobs.com.
Right.
They're the ones who put all this information together to help you make a decision about your career.
Yeah, they've done a lot of the work for you.
And they have a ton of U of T job postings. So you can actually see what's out there, what specific jobs they have.
It's a great resource.
Okay, so to recap.
Yeah.
U of T, what have we learned? Salaries and benefits seem good. They seem really focused on work-life balance, family stuff, and they talk a lot about diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
But we still need to look into those career development opportunities and what those awards really mean.
Right. And do your own research. Talk to people. Figure out what matters to you. is U of T the right place for you?
That's the big question. It's
Yes.
all about finding that environment where you can really thrive, right?
Mhm.
Where you can contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some final thoughts, key takeaways for our listeners?
Okay, so we've been through a lot talking about the University of Toronto.
We have.
Good stuff, maybe not so good stuff, all the in-between stuff. As we kind of wrap things up here, what are the main things that someone who's thinking about a career at U of T should really remember? What are the takeaways?
Well, I think one of the big things is that U of T seems to be pretty competitive when it comes to like salary and benefits.
Right.
They seem especially strong on that work-life balance, family-friendly stuff, which is really important to a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. Those on-site daycare options, the parental leave, that really stood out. It shows they're thinking about their employees, throughout different life stages.
Exactly. And they talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, which is great. But it's always important to look deeper.
Oh, for sure.
See how those values actually play out, in the actual work environment.
Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions during the interview process. Like, how do you actually, make sure it's inclusive and supportive?
Right. And those awards they've won, they're impressive, but remember, they're just one piece of the puzzle. Talk to people who work there. Check those Glassdoor reviews. Get a feel for what it's really like.
Get the inside scoop. Yeah, it's easy to get, caught up in the big name and the prestige. But it really comes down to fit. Does it fit you?
Yeah. Does the environment, the culture, the opportunities, do they match what you want? What are your goals?
That's what matters. And that's where academicjobs.com comes in. They've pulled all this info together so you can make a good decision.
They've done the hard work, yeah.
You don't have to dig through everything yourself. And you can find all those U of T job postings right on their site. So if you're feeling inspired, go check it out. See what they have.
See what's out there.
Even if U of T ends up not being the right place for you. I think this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. When you're looking at any job in higher ed, the salary, the benefits, that work-life balance, career growth, the overall culture,
It's all important. It's all part of the decision.
you got to consider all of it. And your career, it's a journey. It's not just like one destination. It's about finding a path that, challenges you, that makes you feel good, where you can make a difference.
Yeah. Well said. We hope this deep dive has helped you get a little closer to finding that path.
Thanks for joining us as we explore the University of Toronto. And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of higher ed careers.